The file you are about to hear has been thoroughly scrutinized by the Ethics Committee and approved by the O5 Council for release to trusted associates of the Foundation. This is SCP Unredacted. Item Number SCP-6802. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-6802 is to be contained in a standard animal containment cell and be provided standard grade dog kibble twice a day. The entity may be provided with a low-sodium broth as reward for good behavior. Once a month, a trained pet groomer should trim the entity's fur and claws with assistance from a handler. Upon entering a seeking state, a junior researcher is assigned to accompany the entity. If no staff are on call for the entity's seeking state, the nearest willing staff member will fulfill the role. During the seeking state, the entity has access to much of the site, including the public dormitories, cafeteria, and kitchen. A full list is available in Document 6802-B. Caches of 300-liter barrels should be placed around Site 18 in safe areas. For enrichment purposes, they should be shuffled regularly. Description: SCP-6802 is a large dog, most closely resembling a golden retriever. It wears a green harness and attached leash, which is superficially similar to those of service dogs used by handicapped individuals, proclaiming the entity to be a Soupdog. Research has shown no such division has ever been classified by the Americans with Disabilities Act, Britain's Equality Act of 2010, New Zealand's Dog Control Act of 1996, or any other such political body. While the harness may be removed via traditional means, this appears to cause the entity emotional distress and has been forbidden outside of testing. The entity behaves like a non-anomalous dog until it enters a seeking state, which occurs randomly approximately 3 to 4 times a week. During a seeking state, the entity seems to be in a state of considerable duress, often pacing, whining, and barking for attention. Upon viewing the entity, individuals will universally perceive the entity as wanting soup. The individual will attempt to take hold of the entity's leash and walk with it to find soup, prioritizing the safety of the entity, themselves, and obtaining soup in that order, respectively. The seeking state will continue until the entity locates soup in a form and temperature that is consumable. Upon finding soup, the entity will begin forcefully inhaling it at intake speeds of up to 100 liters a second, approximately the rate of an average commercial fire hose. Upon consuming the soup, the entity will re-enter a seeking state, continuing until it has inhaled a total of approximately 120 liters of soup. At this point, it will return to normal behavior and can be escorted back to its containment cell. If left in the seeking state, the entity's need for soup will increase over time, eventually attempting containment breaches to obtain it. The strength with which observers are compelled to help it also increases, eventually leading to the entity becoming a Class 4 memetic hazard after approximately 3 hours of an unattended seeking state. Incident Report 6802-1. After a battery of tests, the entity's favorite soup was confirmed to be Campbell's Classic Chunky Chicken Noodle Soup. Thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, join my Discord community, hire me on Fiverr, or help support me by becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. Regardless of tier, all patrons get early access to every single episode. The links are in the description. I don't have the talent it takes to write a skip. All I do is read. Original authors make this podcast possible, so credit to the original author. Their link's in the description. Show them some love as well. Consider becoming a member of the SCP Wiki. Upvote their work, and maybe write a skip of your own. Maybe I'll read it here someday. You never know if you never try. The content of this podcast and content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from scpwiki.com and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is hereby also released under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0.